So welcome back to my channel. This is Gamer Dom and another top 5 for you. So we've looked at the hardest hitting heavies, TDs, mediums from tier 6 upwards. We're at tier 9 now and it's time for the heavies. Yeah, those heavy tier 9s who get kind of the best matchmaking of everybody right now. Because they occasionally see tier 7s, and that's just a delight when you're driving one of these things that's capable of dealing with tier 10s most of the time. Anyway, enough of my matchmaking moans. Did I mention KV5? No, I haven't mentioned the KV5. I've got away with it. Okay, let's move on. Let's get started. Top 5. So a reminder, all these stats are compiled by VBAddicts across all servers, across basically the entire player base, and looking at their average performances in a number of criteria. And I've simply looked at what are the hardest hitting, the most average damage inflicted by tier 9 heavies across all the servers in the last 30 days. So at number 5 is one of the more popular at the moment, and I suspect you'll know why. This is the Russian tier 9 heavy tank, the T10. This thing has moved in its tech tree. Used to be leading on to the IS-7 in a patch or two ago. Wargaming changed that, and it is now sitting alone waiting for its new tier 10, which is currently undergoing testing at the moment in the common tests server. Sorry, I can't get my words out. So the T10 is being played a lot by players trying to get the necessary XP accumulated on this tank to then get that tier 10 when it comes in the next patch. And I've been trying to, but I'm doing crap at the discipline of doing it. So I've only got 16,500 credits on this XP on this account, but never mind. So what about the T10? Well, 116,311 games in the last 30 days, averaging a very healthy 1,567.22 average damage per game. Obviously a lot of games because of the fact people are trying to grind through for the new object coming in at tier 10 off this heavy. So, but this thing in its own right is a nice little TD. I think it's a nice little TD, nice little heavy, Freudian slip there. It's got a very nice gun, 122mm gun, which is standard on all Russians now. 4.88 rate of fire, 258 penetration with standard, 340 with heat, which is premium, and a 440 average damage. 0.38 dispersion is pretty good for a Russian heavy, and 2.8 aim time. And it's a good thing because really, apart from a bit of turret armor, this thing just doesn't really have much armor at all. Only 120 on the hull. I mean, look at it. It's nicely angled, it's nicely sloped. But 120 is not really going to cut the mustard when you're going to go up against tanks that can do, 300 or so damage. And even the turret, 250, yeah, it's well rounded. So, you will block a lot of shells with that, but it's not the thickest in the world. And really this tank exists and survives based on its mobility. For a heavy tank, it's pretty mobile. 750 horsepower engine, 14.5 power ratio is sort of in the slowish, sort of medium tank category, let's say, and a 50 top speed is very good. 36.6 traverse speed for the hull. So that's why this thing is kind of an acquired taste. Some people love it, some people hate it. Mobile heavies, if that's your name, if that's what you like, this is the tank for you. And actually the Object 277 that comes in at tier 10 very shortly to follow this is a similar kind of modus operandi. Fast moving for a heavy, good gunned heavy tanks, and that's what the T10 is. And it's number 5 in our charts. So in at number 4 is British tier 9 heavy tank. This is the Conqueror. 48,121 games, 1,573.17 average damage per game in the last 30 days, according to VBAddicts. So this thing, yeah, I guess it's one of those tanks that people grind through because they're trying to get to the Super Conqueror, which is a fantastic tier 10 heavy. It doesn't maybe get the love that it deserves, but it's actually a very, very good heavy tank, this thing. Although the grind for it is a little bit of a nightmare. Only 2 guns, but 2 turrets, 4 engines, 2 tracks. So, and radios nobody cares about. But, you know, it's got a very effective top gun when you unlock it. This is a 120mm gun, 5.31 rate to fire, 259 penetration with standard, 326 with APCR. Very nice 120 with a Hess shell for HE, giving it an average of 400 damage, 515 with the Hess shell. And the dispersion and the accuracy of this gun is very good. 0.33 accuracy and 1.9 aim time. So very nice indeed. And this thing, because it has a very good gun depression as well, what's that, minus 10 degrees, and lots of spaced armor on this turret. Look at this. It's a really good snapshotter over the top of a hill, and, you know, use that turret strength to its full glory. Because on paper the turret is okay actually, 254 frontal on this, but as you can say, these plates, these are spaced armor, and that is much more effective against heat and HE, and you're likely to face a lot of heats at tier 9 and tier 10, so it's kind of useful. Hull armour, like most British tanks, not particularly great. 152, well sloped, but that lower plate is pretty ugly, and 152 even sloped is going to take quite a pinging at this tier, even against tier 8 tanks really. Again, a fairly mobile tank, not quite as quick as the T10, but 950 horsepower engine is got some grunt when you get to that top engine. 14.4 power ratio is also very good, but only a 34 top speed and 27 traverse speed. So a very effective tier 9 heavy without being spectacular, but clearly a lot of people play this and play this well. So that's why it comes in at number 4. So for number 3, over the last 30 days, according to VBAddicts, for the most damage, or the average damage inflicted by tier 9 heavy tanks, is we go to China, and we have the WZ11111111111114. This thing is a kind of one of these Chinese clones of the IS series, IS-3s and upwards. And it's a very, very good tank, although I have a shit record in it, but hey, never mind. Lots of upgrades on this again, which makes all these tier 9s have a lot of upgrades, which makes them frustrating to play. I haven't even unlocked the top gun yet on this thing. It has 122mm gun to start with, which is lackluster in the extreme. The 100mm tier 9 that you can get is pretty reasonable actually. It's not a bad one, but really you want this 130mm boomstick. This is the baby. It's a very, very nice gun. 130mm, as I say, 4.29 rate of fire, 244 penetration, 340 with heat shells. And 490 average damage is very nice, but you pay for it in terms of accuracy. 0.4 dispersion is not great. An aim time of 2.9 is also nothing spectacular. But this thing is an upfront and personal tank. You really want to get in people's faces and really make them, well, miss their stride, so to speak, in terms of so you can actually get your gunshots in. And, you know, up close accuracy is less of an issue. Hull armor 120 is nothing spectacular, but quite well angled, quite well yeah, swept back. And also the side armor is 120 as well, so this thing is extremely good at side scraping, although it does suffer these sort of weakened shoulder plates here that when you get the angling you can end up making these things flat and get shot through. 230 with the turret is very, very good. The only problem is you've got the standard Chinese disease of poor gun depression, in this case -5. So yeah, not so great from that perspective. Relatively mobile. It's funny, all the top 3 so far have been very mobile heavy tanks, which is interesting. I wonder what that says about the meta at the moment. 45 tons of weight and only a 600 horsepower engine. Have I got the top engine? Yes, I have. So only a 600 horsepower engine gives you 13 power ratio, which is okay, nothing special. and 50 top speed is actually very good. So it takes a while to get there, but once it is, it's pretty good. And 31.5 traverse speed is also very good indeed. So a very efficient, very Chinesey heavy tank at number 3. So in at number 2 is another Russian tank, and this is the Object 705, one of the newer newer heavy tanks in the game. This thing came in a couple of patches ago along with the ISM down at tier 8, and it's basically the design feature, as you can see, is a rear turret mounted gun, a rear hull mounted turret, and that's more like it, with big heavy alpha guns and pretty good armor as well, and that's how this Object 705 fits in. 31,000 games, just over 1,619.37 average damage per game, and you know, I've not played it myself, so I can't really give an awful lot of opinion on it other than the fact what I can see with the stats. Seems to have two pretty decent guns, and you know, you pay your money, you take your choice. You've got the 122mm gun, which fires 5 rounds per minute, 248 pen, 315 with premium and 440 average. 0.4 dispersion is horrible, and 3 aim time. Or the 130, well, that does look like the better gun. Slightly slower rate of fire, only 4.8. Better penetration by 2mm with the standard rounds anyway. 250 pen with that. 303 with APCR, so you lose heat and you get APCR, but you get slight increase in average damage, 490 as opposed to the 440. And again, dispersion is pretty horrible, 0.44, and aim time of 3 is exactly the same. So you know, yeah, I would think actually from that the 122 might be the better gun, but as I say, I haven't played it, so I can't definitely say that. Survivability, well, it's got a lot of hit points. 2,000 hit points is very good. Hull armor 155, which is okay. I mean, it's well angled though, very sloped rather, so that's pretty good. And the turret is titanium, 300mm of frontal armor, very nice indeed. Of course, all that armor means you have a small price to play in terms of mobility. So this thing, 65 tons, so quite a hefty beastie, 400 horsepower engine, 13.86 power ratio, and a top speed of 40. And the turret traverse, or the hull traverse, is only 25 degrees per second. So this thing, oh, I don't know really. As I say, I haven't played it, so it's a bit of an acquired taste from what I look at. In terms of stats, but obviously in the hands of somebody who knows what they're doing, it's a pretty effective beastie, coming in number 2 according to the stats raised by VBAddicts for all games across all servers in the last 30 days. So at number 1, well, I wasn't at all surprised by this myself, because I actually adore this tank, the Joan of Arc. Well, I think this is just a monumentally good heavy tank. This is the French Tier 9 AMX M4 51, one of the newer heavy tanks in the game, and very popular it seems. 11,600 games, 1,749.96 average damage per game, and it's a brute. I mean, apart from the fact it's got a massive head. I mentioned it's got a massive head. It's got a massive head. It's a very mobile heavy tank, which does actually have a decent amount of armor. But let's start with the guns. And actually, this is again like a lot of these French heavy tanks. They have 2 very viable guns. Right from the get-go, you get, oh, I hate that phrase, right from the beginning, you have the 120mm gun, which is its stock gun. Really nice rate of fire, 5.36 rate of fire. Penetration very handy, 257, and 315 with premium, averaging 400 damage. Or you have the 227mm, which has a little bit slower rate of fire, 4.5, but decreased penetration, 242. God, get it right, Dom. And only 270 with premium. But does an increased actual damage of 470, so an extra 70 damage. Seems as Yeah, you're losing rate of fire and you're losing penetration just for 70 hit points. Seems a lot, really. And also your dispersion is worse. So the bigger gun, 0.36, an aim time of 2.3, and the 120mm is 0.34, an aim time of 2. So for me, I'm only using the 120, the stock gun, because for me that extra penetration, extra gun handling makes this worthwhile. And I can't say I'm disappointed, because I absolutely adore this tank. One of my favourite out there at the moment. So yeah, only -8 gun depression is a little bit of a problem with this thing. 1,900 hit points is around about average. Hull armor is 180, which doesn't sound very much, but actually it is surprisingly bouncy. But really it's the turret. This top turret, 300mm of armor. Now you have to be careful, because the stock turret is only 250, and you don't block anywhere near the same amount with that thing. You also have to be very careful that the armor plating kind of stops around here, and the back half of this turret, which is enormous, a great festering boil of a turret, the back half of that turret is like paper, so it can be penned very, very easily indeed. But it does a good mobility for a tank of its size. 73.3 tons, 1,100 horsepower engine gives it some oomph. Getting just shy of 15 power ratio and 40 top speed and 32.38 traverse speed. Very, very nice indeed. So this thing may be new, maybe from the French tank line, which is not renowned for its heavy armor. But this thing is an absolute brute, and it comes in, as I say, #1. So let's go and see this in action in the hands of somebody who knows what they're doing. So this is the wonderfully named Thunder tank. Thunderbirds, go! Thunder tank 55.5. He is, or she could be, he's driving this French tier 10 heavy on the new Glacier map, and he's heading out wide. Now I'm not sure whether I can tell which gun he's using. Let's have a look at the penetration, shall we? That would be the easiest way. So it looks like, yeah, he's using the 120mm standard, the stock gun, which actually I think is the best gun of the lot. And you can see the mobility of this thing. The convoy is no slouch, and he's keeping up with it beautifully, way ahead of the defender, who is leaving for dust and heading out towards the sort of what has become a bit of a, well, heavy tank brawling area out here at the north side of this map. Now the good thing about this tank is keeping its frontal armor pointing towards the enemy. That's what you need to do. So what does he do? He drives around the corner side onto a 112 and then takes a shot from... Oh, the IS-6 is firing HE. Blimey. My goodness me. Took a premium shot from the Centurion 7-1, who seems determined to stay out there a bit too long, but luckily we avoided that. Mind you, the premium shot from this Crusader Centurion did not pen. So he's got a bit of a handful here. There's an IS-6, there's the 112, there's KV-4 Bulldog, there's the Centurion, Defender, all sorts here. So he's angling again, using this really good armour to hold out. Nice shot into the IS-6, who got a little bit cocky, blocks his return shot. This is what this thing is great for. Up close and personal brawling, using that frontal. It's great as long as you can keep that frontal armour pointing straight at the enemy, and they don't shoot your lower plate, because the lower plate is weak, as it is in most tanks. Defender, oh, lucky, had to race that shot, or rush that shot a little bit. IS-6 is, yeah, dead. But he did take a couple of hits there, which was a shame. Well, our defender's finally got here, so he's going balls deep. My goodness me, he's not holding back. Oh, and there's the KV-4. Nice shot into his turret. We've also got some backup. Nice shot into the defender. We've blocked 1,200 damage already. done 2,000 damage already. This gun just boom, 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 metronomically churns out the damage. It's great. And I don't know why anyone would go for the higher spec gun. Nice shot into the 430. Don't know what he was trying to do, edging outside on into this heavy battle, but there you go. Each their own. Oop. Luckily the Lurv sees what Thunderbirds are doing and manages to pull back in time. Look at that, blocks another shot, but gets penned this time by the Centurion, who's still firing premium rounds like they are Smarties on a children's fun fair. Is that sort of scenic? That's a bit spooky actually. Where's that Centurion? We really like to get him. This time we block a shell from the Centurion. Again, another premium shot. KV4 was trying to play it cool there and hide behind, but he'd forgotten he's a flipping big tank, and we could see his turret sticking over the top. Mutz is side on again. Shame we didn't have an HE loaded there, because those things have got paper for sides. But he's still sitting there. That's suicide by stupidity? I don't know. And you can feel they're itching to get forward and take out this 112, who's round this corner, has been there for quite a long time. Aimed for his cupolas but missed. One 112's down. We had momentarily a shot on the object, but he pulled back round just before he had the chance. Done 5,000 damage just in that little exchange there, and blocked 2,700. That's what this tank's all about. Keep that front armour pointing. Try not to get the angle too much, because you make those epaulette things on the side of the tank that much easier to pen, because they become flat surfaces. But in the meantime, oh, don't go around that corner. Oh, the guy's not looking. Nice, we got the object. Boom. That was risky. That was risky. Maybe he had a better view in terms of... Oh, don't go off the cliff. That would look very silly, especially in a video. Ammo racked by that Bulldog, which is frustrating again. 3 kills. So the team are winning 7-11, but the enemy team have won the south successfully. So Thunderbirds has decided that he wants to, well, he needs to go back and defend, which is probably a very wise decision, because you've seen many times games there the enemy team is outnumbered heavily but still managed to win a flank and get into the cap and out cap the defending team, who just don't pay attention quickly enough to deal with it. So him and the defender have come back, which is a good move. Although that object just met a Conway, and yeah, it didn't go so well for him. But we know there's an ISU out there. There's only 3 enemy tanks left, so we're in clear up mode right now. But we want more damage, don't we? We want more damage. Again, you can see this thing moves around the battlefield beautifully. It's not lightning fast, but it is a heavy tank, so it's very fast for a heavy. And it's got a fantastically accurate gun with pretty good penetration for its tier. When you're top tier like he is here, it was a 5-10 game. It's an absolute beast. Even in tier 10 games, this thing can hold out pretty well. Well, at least until they start throwing premium at you left, right and centre. ISU out there, and the ISU's the dead, what's that? Scorpion, I think. It's disappeared again. Ooh, just moved in time for the arty splash dance. So just the arty and a Tiger P left. Well, it's not a Tiger P. What am I talking about? Oh, it's a GW Tiger. GW Tiger P. What am I thinking of? I'm tired, sorry guys. A Patton and a Tiger P artillery piece. So we got spotted as we rushed across there. There you go, there's that armour again, blocked a Patton shot, which was APCR of course. Shot on the move, but that was always a bit hopeful. Patton's in trouble. Can we get a shot in there before he dies? Not great gun depression on this, but it's okay. We're going to take a shot here, but we get the shot away before he does. And that's him down. Just the arty to go. Where's that little love puppy? I can guarantee he'll be swinging his gun round. Little impromptu platoon with the Type 59 because they've both got 3 kills, so they've got brothers in arms here. Type 59's on 1 health. Where's the arty? There he is. To your right, to your right, to your right. There we go. Aim in, first shot, lovely. Take a shot from the arty, but he is cleaned up for the win. GG, well played. So a really nice game there from Thunderbirds. He got Ace Tanker, Bruiser, Hand of God, Duelist, Fighter, Fire for Effect, Shellproof. He got the Impromptu Brothers in Arms Platoon Award. He also got Confederate, Steel Wool, and of course High Caliber. Finished up unsurprisingly top of his team. 6,828 damage, 4 kills, 1,500 experience. Absolutely spot on the money. He fired 28 shots, hit with 25 and penned with 19 for that 6,800. He took 17 hits himself, 6 of which only penetrated, 11 blocked. So 3,680 blocked damage in that thing. He doesn't run a premium count, still made a bit of a profit, 56,600, 10,500 roughly profit without any kind of premium account. Which is pretty good really, because he didn't spam any gold as far as I could see. 1,500 experience times 2 for the day gave him 3,000 total. Would have been 4,500 if he'd been running a premium account. So there you go. That is the top damage dealing heavy tank in the game right now at tier 9 according to VBAddicts, and I can't say I disagree with them. Fantastic game. So we've seen the best, let's see the rest. And at number 12, third from bottom in terms of average damage inflicted in tier 9 games with heavy tanks, is the Russian tier 9, the ST1. So this thing is an intriguing brute of a tank. It's very, very good armor and not so good gun. It seems to be the characteristic of it. So you start off with a god-awful 122mm gun, which is just really not fit for purpose, considering this is a tier 9 tank and you will 9 times out of 10 be facing tier 10s. So starting off with that stock gun is just horrible. So, you know, if there was a case for using free XP, this would be one of them, to get up to at least the second gun, which is this 122mm, 4.76 rate of fire, 225 penetration, 265 with APCR, and 390 average damage. 0.4 dispersion is horrible, and aim time of 3.4 is also pretty horrible. Or the top gun, which you'll get to eventually, is the 122mm M62T2, which has a rate of fire of 4.5 rounds per minute. Nice penetration, nothing spectacular. 258 penetration, 340 with oh, it's heat it now has, and a very nice 440 average damage. 0.38 dispersion is good, and 3.4 aim time is nothing special, but it is a heavy, remember, so I'm saying it's good based on the fact it's a heavy. Survivability, 1,900 hit points is about average. 150 frontal armor, but it is very well angled, very well angled, but that's not really what this is good at. 250 armor on the turret is pretty good. Mobility though is shockingly bad. 700 horsepower engine giving 11.48 power ratio and 40 top speed, only 27 traverse speed. So yeah, 17,700 games, 1,290.52 average damage per game is why this thing is third from bottom for average damage dealt. So second from bottom in terms of average damage dealt according to VBAddicts comes the German tier 9 heavy tank. This is the E75, just shy of 50,000 games, 1,253.14 average damage per game. Is a little on the underwhelming side, which is why it's down the bottom of the charts. So a whole host of guns on this thing, as you would expect on the German tank. Top gun, 128mm anti-tank gun, 3.8 rounds of fire, 246 penetration with standard, 311 with the skillless round, 490 average damage, 0.37 aim time accuracy is very good, and 2.4 aim time is nothing special. It's okay. So it's a nice heavy tank. So it's not a very mobile tank, which does not help its performance. 900 horsepower engine, 9.83 power ratio, and only a top speed of 40, but it does whip round quite quickly, which is 31 degrees per second. That's pretty damn good. Armor wise, it's got a reasonable amount of hit points, 1,920. Hull armor is 160, 20, 20, so good side scrape material for that's for sure. 252 on the front of the turret, which is one of the weaknesses of this thing, is because that is flat as they come. Being shot through there is not good. And 160 on the side and 160 on the rear, so a fairly sort of bog standard average tank really, which you sort of get used to playing German tanks. So there you go, that's in at number 13, second from bottom. So if you thought the T32 was a bit lackluster following on from the T29, what about the M103 then? This is the American tier 9 heavy tank, coming in bottom according to average damage inflicted, compiled by VBAddicts in the last 30 days. The M103 heavy tank, just shy of 29,000 games, 1,139.53 average damage per game. That is all, so not particularly noteworthy. Has some pretty good guns, however, pretty good guns, at least statistically so. The top gun is this 120mm gun, 5.37 rounds per minute, it's very good. 258 pen, 340 with skillless rounds and 400 average damage. It's kind of what you'd expect at this tier. Accuracy is very good, 0.37. Aim time, yeah, it's okay, 2.3 is workable. So nice little gun. Oops, shut that down. Come on, shut that down. That's it. Survivability, one of the lower hit point pools, 1,850 is all. And average hull armor is actually pretty good, 228 at the front, 40-40 on the side, so you don't want anyone flanking you. And the front of that turret, which is enormous, is 254, 99 and 53. So this thing, when it can take advantage of its gun depression, which of course is pretty good, -8 for a heavy tank, that's extremely good. This thing can keep up a fairly withering fire, which is what it needs to do. But as you say, you pay for it in terms of mobility. 14 power ratio, 34 top speed, 32 traverse speed is nothing spectacular. But with all with all American tanks, it's all about that turret and getting that to perform. But stats don't lie, comes in at bottom. So anyway, I hope you found that useful and interesting. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. In the meantime, enjoy your games, have fun, try not to take it too seriously, and I'll see you again soon. This is Gamer Dom, signing out.